Welcome to Page to Screen, the podcast where Nikki and Christina discuss books that were turned into movies and films that were adapted from books. As always, we do remind you that spoilers lay ahead. Now, we invite you to decide with us the age-old question, which is better, the book or the movie?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Page to Screen. Joining as always is my favorite member of the Married Women's Card Club, Christina.
Yay! How are you doing today, Nikki?
Well, you know, 2 tears in a bucket.
What can I get you to drink? What y'all like to drink?
What y'all like to drink? Anything. As long as y'all got ice, I'll be there. Lance. All right.
My Lance.
And we have been on summer vacation, and it's been a hot summer vacation. So now we're going to travel down to the south. We're traveling. And we are bringing you Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Yay! Yes, so we're doing Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. We're starting with the 1994 book by John Brent, and that was adapted into a film of the same name. Came out in 1997, directed by Clint Eastwood, starring John Cusack and Kevin Spacy. And Jude Law. Another one in there.
That one, I just told Christina. So what's great about this is I had never read the book, and I had seen the movie a bunch of times, but I haven't seen it in maybe 7+ maybe years. And because Jude Law is one of the first people you see on screen too.
Yes.
And Jesse turns to me and goes, "Holy crap, is that Jude Law?" And I was like, no. And then Jude Law with his southern accent, I was done. I completely forgot he was in it.
And what was the accent you just said he had?
Southern.
Are you sure? Because I'm not sure that he did have a southern accent.
Attempted. He tried his best. I was so shocked by it because I was just like, a what? I was like, is this his first movie?
Yeah.
Basically it was.
This is a very interesting subject matter because the book was written over 7 years, and the book has a lot of craziness in it. There's a lot going on and it's a nonfiction book. So what you're reading happened. There's a little bit of a controversy to the book that we can get into about the nonfiction title, which it is a nonfiction, but we'll get into that. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot of characters. There's, there's true crime, high society, drag queens, trans people. Like there's a lot going on. And then what's insane about it is that the movie captures so much and yet not a whole lot, and the movie itself kind of feels a little crazy. Like it came out in 1997. It's an interesting time. The way that we spoke about Silence of the Lambs before, feeling like this aesthetic of 80s wallpaper, whatever that was, where everything was beige in the 1980s with the Howard Shore music, this definitely feels like a 1997 movie. Do you know what I mean?
Like, you're looking at these outfits and you're like, I remember these. You know, like the idea that you should be wearing like an oversized shirt unbuttoned over a regular size shirt with Dockers, definitely 100% a pair of Dockers. And it was just something where I was like, why? Like, who made this choice?
There's a love interest in the movie, and she's got this like very 90s floral spaghetti strap dress that I kind of disdain, and I kind of want to wear it immediately.
Well, everything old is new again.
Yes.
So hi, we're new.
For me, this was a reread of the book and the movie. A reread of the book and a rewatch of the movie, both of which I had done within the last...
Subtitles, I get it.
I did use subtitles. I'm old now. I use them all the time. I had read this and watched it within the last 5 years. So I actually thought to myself, like, I don't really need to read the whole book again because it's so fresh. It's like five years is pretty tight for me. 10 years is pushing it. But I picked it up. And I was like, I'll just thumb through it and refresh myself. I reread it because I love it so much. It's just like such a crazy book, and there's so like
Yeah.
so many insane things happen, and it's so fun, and it's like one of the few books that I think really does a great job capturing a place and a
Mhm.
feel and a vibe, because there's something so kind of magical and weird about Savannah. It's like Savannah is equal parts like the best of the South and the worst of the South,
Yeah.
and you have this high society and this feeling of like a Southern Gothic kind of a place, but it's a very kind of hipstery too. Like there's a lot of colleges and like young people there. There's a lot of history, and then you've got these like crazy characters in it. It's just a lot, and it's a lot of fun.
I will tell you the entire time I was reading the book, I was only listening to Johnny Mercer music
Yeah.
and definitely planning my move to Savannah because I lived in South Carolina, so I could go to Atlanta and I had gone with some friends numerous times. And I went with my mom to Savannah. It is we talked about Savannah. I don't even think we touched on Savannah when we did Forrest Gump, even
Not
though it's a
really. Yeah.
pivotal part of the Forrest Gump movie. But being in Savannah is like taking a time machine but being able to keep all your modern appliances. It
Yeah.
is so insane and it is insanely gorgeous and it is so calm. Like
Yes.
there are you hear a lot about like California slow where they're just like whatever. It's like California. But
It's
you get
beachy. Like chill out, guys. It's
yeah.
fun.
It's like the high vibes of California, but then you get the southern lady slow
Hmm.
of Savannah and it's just like I want to be you.
Yeah.
I want to be one of the Savannah ladies. I want to be in a married women's card club. I don't play cards, but I do love to gossip, so invite me. Like
Well, like when I went to Savannah, I've gone to Savannah a few times, but as an adult where I went to really kind of appreciate Savannah, we were only there for one day and it was only like a few hours, and it was a little bit of a stressful drive. I don't remember why, but when we got there and I got out of the car, it was hot out, and all I could smell was like grass and magnolias, and it had that thing of like when it's really humid outside and it's like the air actually feels wet.
yeah.
Like it was that kind of feel. And then we started walking. We're walking through the that like square, the center, and it was so cool, and it was all of these like shady trees over us. So it's just like you feel like you're part of the trees and the grass and stuff. And we're walking and we walked by this like older man and he was just like, "Good morning." And I was like, "Good morning." And like so happy that someone just said good morning to me. And that kept happening. Everybody said good morning as we walked by them. And then we just like sat at a park bench for a while and was like looking at everything. And I'm like, I don't know. This is a vibe I can really feel. Like I
Yeah.
just feel very calm and peaceful and very polite, even if there's a lot of racism underneath everything.
It's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You know what I mean? Like you've got a thin, well, not a thin. You've got a pretty hefty layer of racism, but on top, everyone's so nice to you,
Yeah.
regardless of skin color, gender, sexual orientation. Everyone was just like I. That's just how it is. When you
Yeah.
get to Savannah, and it's so bizarre because you can go to Atlanta and people are going to ignore you. People
Yeah.
hate you in Atlanta. You get to Savannah and you are instantly everybody's friend and everyone wants to know your information. And
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
everyone wants to talk to you for some ungodly reason. And
Yeah.
it's kind of fun. I liked it.
It
Let's
is.
move
It
to
is kind of
Savannah.
fun. Like I remember when we were there and we went to get Benny wafers and we went into this like confectionery place, and the lady behind the register was like talking to us for like a while. And then when we went, we got like seafood somewhere, and I remember the server talking to us for like a while, and it wasn't like your normal server chat. It was like they were talking to us.
Yeah. And what I love too is like 90% of the restaurants that I've been to in Savannah, they all have like free water outside and they have like the
Yeah.
wait staff outside like, water? And you're like, for me, I'm just
And
passing
the
by.
dogs. There was a lot of dogs walking
Yeah.
around with little like doggy dishes outside of the
It
places.
it is a magical place. The only other time I felt some sort of like slow Southern magic like that is in New Orleans.
Yeah, it's very much like New Orleans.
Yeah.
They are honestly like sisters. It's very similar to New Orleans, even to the point like when I was talking about like the feel of the air, that
Hmm.
is very New Orleans
Yeah.
too. New Orleans, I think, has a little bit more party and a little bit darker
Yeah.
of like, oh, there's something else going on here. I don't know what. Like there's like a little bit more of that vibe, whereas Savannah's closer to Atlanta adjacent with that like sort of debutante kind
Yeah.
of like feel to it. Like it probably leans a little bit more that way, whereas like New Orleans is just a little bit more, there's a little bit more of a seedy element to like certain parts of it, and it feels a little bit more party. Like there's
Yeah.
just a lot more partying and music and stuff going on, but
It's
very similar.
it's very much like Glinda and Elphaba. Do you get what I mean? You got your
Right.
good witch and your bad witch. And but that's not to say that they're both good or bad. It's just to say that one of them is like a pink dress and one of them's a black dress. That's where we're
Well, and one of them hides their shit a little bit more because
Yeah.
it's not that Savannah is missing out on some of the
Oh,
seediness.
no, they're not missing out. They just know not to gossip about it with other people.
They just put a little lace over it.
Yeah. Well, boy, howdy. It's gonna be hard to talk about this without joining the two together.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think it's
think
one that
that's
you kind of
yeah. Can't really separate the two. And I'm gonna say I want to. Oh God, I don't know how. We're gonna talk about that later, which I liked better the book or the movie. So let's just unless you want me to say it now.
I'm curious. Go ahead because I've been very curious about your feelings on all of this.
It's funny because like I said, I've seen the movie a lot before. And I really liked the movie and then I read the book.
Yeah.
And I loved the book so much more than the movie because there are things that happen in the book that there are similar things in the book that happen in the movie, but when you read it in the book, it makes more sense. Like there's a guy who walks the dog.
I love
Walks
that
the
guy.
dog. And in the movie, they don't explain it
No.
like they do in the book. And basically in the book, he was the porter for, was it the bank, the head of the bank or whatever? And he was charged with walking the dog and he would get $10 every walk. And in the book, they make it sound like he's just walking around the city now by himself.
Mhm.
And they're asking him if how's the dog doing? Not him walking one of those fake dog things that you used to be able to buy at the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Which when I saw that in the movie, Jesse looked at me and went, "Is that guy crazy?" And I was like, "No, like he has a whole backstory. Don't worry about it." And he was like, "Are they gonna explain it?" I was like, "I don't remember." He was like, "Okay." So then they talked about it, and they don't explain it in the same way as in the book.
Yeah.
Jesse's like, so he's cheating people out of money? Like he's crazy?
Yeah.
I was like, nope, pause. Okay, here's what happens in the book. Because basically in the book, in the guy's will, as the guy died, he says that as long as he still walks a dog, he should get that money every week.
Mhm.
And the guy dies, then the dog dies, and he goes to the judge and tells the judge, "Well, the dog's dead." Like, and the judge is like, "Are you sure? I still see him. He's right there. He's right there." And he's like, "No, what?" And the judge is like, "I still see the dog, so you should just be walking the dog." And it's this really sweet. It comes
Yeah.
off as weird, but it's also really sweet that there's somebody in this town who's like, "You could still use this money. You should still
Yeah.
use this money," and he's still getting that money. Whereas in the movie, it definitely comes across like he's a crazy man.
But right, and that's where I think the book, there's a certain magic to Savannah that the book is so good at explaining and getting across, and that is, it's actually like very perfect that you started with that as an example, because I think that's a good one to explain how the book has a magic of explaining the vibe, and like
Yeah.
all these people went along with the dog thing because they're cool with it.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show there's almost like a hometown like type of team that they have there where they kind of protect their own. So
Mm-hmm.
even though there might be a lot of racism and a lot of drama and all of that, at the end of the day, if you're a Savannah person, you're a Savannah person,
Yeah.
and they're going to have a certain amount of protection over their own people, and how this like kookiness would not fly anywhere
Yeah.
else USA, but it flies here.
Yeah, and it was just like, it was just really beautiful
Yeah.
to see that it was like everyone being like super chill with it. And
Yeah.
and the only person who had an issue was this guy from New York who was like, What are you guys all talking about?
Yeah.
And I know that the book is completely out of order and it's not really how things happened, but the way this story is told in the book is 1,000 times better than the way the movie portrays it. And I especially really connected with the idea that he went out to eat at a restaurant and realized that the price of the meal that he was paying for could fly him somewhere in the United States, because I live in New York. I have had this experience where I look at a dinner bill and I'm like, I could have just flown round trip to California. What am I doing? Yeah, dinner was great. Don't get me wrong. Was it round trip to California great? I mean, yeah, I had to pay for stuff on the other end, but I could also leave my apartment for like a day. That would be nice. I'll fly. I'll go anywhere. That idea is so magical.
Yeah.
That it instantly grabs you in. And then the fact that he finds a place in Savannah, just this magical place where you can hear music out the window and all this stuff. It feels like the dream, you know?
Yeah.
I was in it from the first moment. And then when they're talking, okay, we have to talk about Johnny Mercer for just a hot second, because I love the music of Johnny Mercer. Because I love Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. It's one of my favorite musicals. And I knew that he wrote for that. I did not know every song that I've had ever listened to basically was written by him, and I've loved all of them until I listened to a Spotify playlist called This is Johnny Mercer, and I was like, I know who he is, don't worry about it. And it starts off with like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, and then all of a sudden it's like Accentuate the Positive, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And it's like Summer Wind. I was like, I know that one. It's like Barefoot in the Park. What are you talking about? Like, I know every single song, and I had no idea anything about him. I learned more about him from reading this book, and I don't even know if that's 100% true.
Well, when I got married, my husband Carlos loves this book and loves the movie, and he kept telling me to read it because it's his copy of the book. And I kept not reading it. And I finally did. And I started reading it. I'm like, wait a minute. This is a Southern Gothic book about true crime, and they're living in the fucking Johnny Mercer house. Like, am I stupid? Why did I wait so long to read this? This is so good. And it's just like reading it. I remember I made a playlist that was a Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil playlist. And it was like all of this like Southern Gothic music and Johnny Mercer music. And let me tell you, that playlist kind of rips, and I still listen to it sometimes. And it is cool because when you walk around Savannah, Johnny Mercer's everywhere. And we went to this pub, and when we went into the pub, it like connected over to this really cool outside beer garden. And when we went to the beer garden, it's technically like a different restaurant than the first one we walked in. So we didn't realize the name of the place. And I'm like sitting there and I look up and it's like Moon River or something. And it's because he wrote Moon River. So like there's just little bits of Johnny Mercer everywhere. So it's cool because when now, like next time you go to Savannah and you see everything, it's going to be like, oh my God, like this is, you know, the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil stuff.
Well, it's also like I knew that Johnny Mercer had a theater, the Johnny Mercer Theater in Savannah, just because I've driven past it. So I knew that was there, but I didn't realize I cannot wait to go back to Savannah and to be like, this is where a man died in real life, everybody. Not just one man, two men. In this house, there is death. And we're going in. It's a museum. Let's go.
Yeah, I never got to do the house and do the museum or do any of the tours. I would die.
Can we do that? Can we have a ladies' trip to Savannah?
That'd be fun.
Oh my God. Or I'm buying us gloves.
So many gloves.
So
Oh my
many
god, and
gloves.
like a little parasol.
Yes, we don't want to burn our skin.
Skin.
Lambs.
Delicate skin.
We have such delicate skin, and you know that sun gets hot.
Oh, it's a little. I'm a little parched. Can I have some sweet
Yeah.
tea?
I also loved the idea when the book opens, we meet this one woman who takes him to the Bonaventure Cemetery,
God,
and she
I loved it.
she mixes them up like dirty martinis to take to the cemetery, and everybody in this book is just drinking and driving. And I'm like, I get it. You started writing this in the 80s. Maybe it was a different time. No, it wasn't. That's still illegal. It was illegal then, it's illegal now. But you know what? I guess if you're driving slow enough in Savannah, you ain't got to worry about it.
That is the other crazy thing about Savannah, though, is that they have the open.
Oh, the open carry stuff?
Yes.
Whatever it's
So you
called,
can,
yeah.
if you leave a restaurant, and I forgot about this. If you leave a restaurant, they'll give you to-go cups of alcohol, and then you can just like walk around drinking
Yeah.
wherever you want. So like, she should not have been drinking and driving. Okay, that's still illegal. But like when you get to the cemetery, sure,
Yeah,
pour out
go for it.
martinis. Who cares?
I love the idea of sitting. First of all, I love the idea of somebody's headstone being a bench.
Yeah.
And then I love the idea of sitting in a cemetery on this bench and just having a martini. Because there's a lot. I like going to cemeteries.
I do
It's
too.
this weird sort of peaceful
Mhm.
quiet where it's not like a fearful quiet. It's just there could be hundreds of people there. Like you've gone to New Orleans, you know, those crowds get insane at the cemeteries. There could be 100 people in the cemetery and it's still, pardon the pun, dead silent.
There's a certain amount of like serenity and just
Yeah.
peacefulness. Although I do like, if I see a very rundown cemetery, it kind of depresses me. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that kind of sucks. But aside from that, cemeteries are nice. And there's actually like a pretty big one that's sort of like buried in Winter Park. And the other day I drove past it and I was like, oh, I should go to that cemetery.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I loved about living in New England.
I said it was buried in Winter Park.
Dun, 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 dun. But no, that's what I love about living in the North is that, especially because the graves in Massachusetts, Salem, Boston, they have the most beautiful artwork I have ever seen. These beautiful, intricate carved designs. And I'm like, I am obsessed. So that's just me putting that out there in the universe. You don't have to bury me, but give me a good headstone in every cemetery you come across. So you can always find me. No? Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Anyways, back to the book.
Well, the funny thing about when she takes him there is that she explains that there is a place for visitors. Like, oh, we'll take care of you if you die here. You get to that's you. That's where you get to go. And he's like, well, I'd prefer not to.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about this Southern hospitality. It's like, oh, we're not going to leave you in the morgue. We're going to put you in this tomb for, like, until your family can collect you. Yeah. My first question, if someone had said that to me, was like, is there someone in there right now? He doesn't even ask that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks.
Well, there's also just, there really is, like, this Southern Gothic charm of, like, they don't shy away from a lot of the more macabre and morbid stuff that they definitely do, even here in Florida. Like a lot of like the uppity Southern people that you talk to, like they don't want to talk about, you know, the blue stuff, the dark stuff. Like that's not on the table. And with Savannah, I don't think it's the same thing. I think there is a little bit more of like this just kind of like dark humor that they have embraced, and it just makes it all a little bit more charming.
Yeah. It's just like that Southern way of like, instead of saying like you're stupid, they're like, oh, bless.
Oh, bless your
heart. You know,
heart.
everything kind of is sweet and sour at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a good mix. I think I could thrive in Savannah. I'd be the belle of the ball.
I do want to address just to get it out of the way, the issues that some people have with this book is basically that what he did was that if he's talking to someone and they explain like what happened years
Mhm.
ago, he would take that and he put it in narrative order. So instead of it being in the order of him like a journalist talking to people and getting this information, he instead like restructured it to be in a narrative order. And then he disclosed that there were certain elements that, not that they were embellished, but he said polished is the term that he
Yeah.
used. He polished certain points of the book, and he said that he felt that doing so actually made it more true to the story.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a gray area that I think he did something where it's like you ask for forgiveness instead of permission to do
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like I think that's kind of it. But from what I could tell, I don't think there's a single person that has said that any of what he did is incorrect. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
There's been nobody who's come out and been like this shit didn't happen. So I really do believe that it's just what he said, that he put it in more of a narrative order. So
Yeah.
I personally don't have any issues with it. I don't, there's nothing about it that I feel is disingenuous to the book. And I do believe too that sometimes you have to work a little bit in fiction in order to get the truth across.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with it, but I did just want to mention it because I know some people do.
Well, I'm glad that he even touched on it and was just like, this is how it was done.
Yeah.
Because it could have been another, like, what is it, 1,000 Little Pieces?
Yes, Million Little Pieces.
Yeah, Oprah Book
You
Club.
discounted him.
Yeah. Where he could have turned into that situation where everyone was like,
Yeah.
this is fake.
Yeah.
And it's not like the murder happened. But I think
it happened.
I think to that respect, especially because the big thing is that he puts in that he was talking to.
That's the big part. Yeah.
And he comes in and like freaks out and stuff. And I think what that does is paints an image of a victim.
Yeah.
That even though he heard the story a couple of times, did he actually hear the story from the people who were in that room?
No.
Or did he hear it secondhand? Because gossip travels quick in a small town. And Savannah, not being a super small town, has small cliques. That gossip could have traveled, and for all we know, it didn't happen the way that they say it did.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's just been repeated ad nauseum, that's what people took away from it. And that was the only thing that gave me pause after reading the book, was like, okay, because it's kind of ambiguous as to what actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah, the insane thing about this book is that it's really like, I think, a love letter to Savannah.
Yeah.
But as a happenstance, a murder occurred, and the murder that happens at the Mercer house. And it's the person who was the murderer is Jim Williams,
Mm-hmm.
who was new money. So not old money, not inheritance and all that. He was a self-made person, and a lot of the way that he got money was good business deals and insane luck. So I think that with Southerners, and you can see it, I mean, I see it all the time just in downtown Orlando with like attorneys, like they're still old money, and they kind of look down on like attorneys that married into money or something like that. Like it's just funny that it's like not much has changed,
Yeah.
So he was new money, and I think that people talk shit about him because of it, but because he was so fucking wealthy, people wanted to be his best friend. And he did this amazing thing, which is what I would do if I had a lot of money, which is he threw a Christmas party every year, and he had like almost like a Santa Claus good list, naughty list. So if you slighted him in even like the slightest way, if you slighted him in the slightest way, you would get a no invitation to the Christmas party until like you made it up to him the next year or something. So everybody wanted to be his friend. He threw all this stuff, but then he was also like the one that they would go to do shit. So there's the example in the book of a producer comes to Savannah, starts filming, and he's the only one that had like the balls to go up to the producer and complain about the way that they were doing it. But the way he goes about his little act of rebellion If you want to pick it up, Nikki, from
Nazis,
here.
Nazis, Nazis.
She's screaming like chicken. Nazis.
Nazis, Nazis, Nazis. Yeah, to stop the production, Jim pulls out the Nazi flag that he just has. He just has a Nazi flag. It doesn't everybody
have a Nazi flag out.
Sweetie, get the Nazi flag. We've got
From
producers
the
out
basement.
front.
No, the left drawer.
Yeah.
The left drawer.
Yeah, no, that one's the Austrian flag. Get the Nazi flag. He pulls out a Nazi flag and drapes it out his window. But there's like a whole Jewish center across the street. I don't mean to laugh. It is just horrible.
He's like, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because as the book goes on, you find out he has a lot of German guns. He's got a Nazi flag. He's got a lot of German Nazi memorabilia.
Does he have any daggers? Does he have some Nazi daggers?
Yeah, he's got a lot of Nazi stuff going on. So tell me. Because they never met. They don't talk about it in the book. Do you think he was, a little... white is right. I don't know how to...
Yeah, I do. I honestly do. And I think that the way that he says the same thing to John Berendt that a lot of people do who just happen to collect Nazi shit, which is just, it's historical. There's a lot of historical things in my house. It's just historical, and I find it interesting. There's been a lot of people over the years who have said that, and almost all of them end up being like murderers and racists and Nazis. Like, it's very rare unless, you're the British Museum. Like, I don't think there's many entities out there that collect Nazi shit and they're not Nazis.
We're not going to talk about the British Museum because the British Museum, if they could, they would have stolen the Great Pyramids, okay? We're not going to talk about the British Museum. But talking about Nazi flags, I just found out that we found out that Jesse's family in Canada were cleaning out their garage, and they found there's a family member of theirs who fought in World War II.
That's
who,
cool.
When they would like demolish or like destroy a Nazi encampment or whatever, they'd take the flags down and they'd all sign their names on it. And they found one in their garage and they're trying to donate it right now.
Like a yearbook.
Yeah. KIT. Sergeant Smith.
Working with you this year was so fun. I can't wait to see the great things you do in the future.
Keep it cool.
And like, why is there a Britney Spears lyric under it? No, yeah, I definitely think he was probably anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
I think, and that's what is so interesting, though, about people like him, is that he's clearly a gay man or bisexual.
Yeah.
And, or, something on the spectrum. And it's always funny to me when you are someone who is somewhat a minority or marginalized, or you're in one of those like sections and you still hate people.
Yeah. And it's really interesting when you think about the fact that the lawyer against him in the case is Jewish.
Yeah.
And no one talks about it. No one brought it up. No one had anything to say about like, hey, dude, you got a lot of Nazi stuff in your house. Are you like okay?
Yeah.
Like, no one had anything to say. I'm done.
I have a lot of weird stuff in this room, okay?
Yeah, but you don't have Nazi stuff.
I don't have Nazi stuff, okay? And that's kind of the thing, is that you can pick up a lot of things. Like, I've got the Twilight book, and you can be like, Christina, do you like Twilight? And I'd be like, not really, but I have it. Like, there's a lot of things here that, and you could be like, Christina, why the fuck do you have this? And it's like, I know, it's weird, but I just have it. Don't worry about it. If I was like, oh, that's just my Nazi dagger. Well, that's my other Nazi dagger.
Yeah.
Well, that's my Nazi flag. Don't worry about it. Hey, Nikki, did I show you the new thing I got? It's my third Nazi gun. Like, what do you be like? Well, there's a lot of Nazi shit going on here, Christina.
That's the thing. Like, if he claims to be this art collector and dealer and stuff. Okay, you have a Nazi, dagger.
Cool.
Singular.
Fine. Yeah.
Singular. And then
Got
you
it.
turn it around for a profit to some other anti-Semitic person. Great. No, he has them all and displays them across his house. Like, you have a reason to own a Twilight book.
Yeah.
We did an episode. Go back and listen to it. It's the Battle of the Modern Day Vampires from last Halloween. Like, I have a lot of Disney stuff, and I accept that. But you know what? I don't have a collection of Nazi memorabilia that I am posing as my... Could you imagine how different The Little Mermaid would be if she was like, look at my collection? Boom, look at my collection. Oh, that's just a bunch of Nazis.
Isn't it neat?
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Like, no, it's not.
Didn't you think my swastika is neat? Ooh.
What did you think? Mine hair? No, I don't. Stop. No, it's a problem. And I think that's what drove me nuts the most about the book. Is that they're just like, yeah, he has that flag out there. And then it's just like, there and gone.
But I like it. I like it because, and with John Parent, there's a certain level of, you have to do in the South. Like, you just kind of keep your mouth shut and someone says something. It's sort of like, there's even a part in the book where I think he's talking to, I want to say the librarian. I think it's the librarian.
Yeah.
And she's explaining it to him like, yeah, and in the civil rights movement, they weren't violent at all. And it was just like the way she's saying it and the way he's like, okay. And then he kind of repeats that to the reader. I think that in saying absolutely nothing, there's a little bit of a wink, wink, nod, nod. Like, you just go along with what they say. Because when you go and you go, excuse me, what do you mean by they? And what do you mean by nonviolent? Like, when you do the woke shit, like, I'm going to actually dig deep into whatever racist shit she just tried to pass my way because I see what she's doing and I don't like it. The minute you try to get, like, a little argumentative with them, I think they'll shut down. And just like, I'll take back my sweet tea. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Bye. Have a nice time now here. Like,
and then they'll be sweet to your face and like stab you in the back.
Exactly.
It's basically high school politics.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean.
Keep my mouth shut and go along.
Just gonna keep on trucking.
Yeah.
Just don't mind me. Yeah. I'm just here.
Yeah. I'll be out of here by Sunday. Gotta go back home.
Bye. His house is such an interesting...
I would die. I would die to go to his house.
Oh my God, right? I want to go to his Christmas party.
I want to go to his Christmas party with all that good food.
Yeah.
Low country
food. Listen, if you invite me anywhere and you're like, we got hoe cakes, I'm already there. Get out of my face.
No, that's me. I'm the hoe cake.
I'm a hoe cake. Listen, I would do anything for a hoe cake right now.
The little cornbread.
Shut up.
Oh.
Shut up. Stop. What's some jambalaya?
And even like, didn't she just make like a really basic like ham and cheese sandwich?
Yeah.
I would eat it.
I would too.
I would eat all of it.
Because you know it would be good.
But you know it would be so good.
Oh my God. You know what I really wanted while reading that book? More than anything?
What?
I wanted to eat fried green tomatoes more than
I
anything.
know. I've been craving fried green tomatoes for a while.
Since I started reading the book, all I've wanted is fried green tomatoes and like chicken. But not like super crispy fried chicken. Like you know there's a difference in Southern fried chicken. I want it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm still hungry right now.
I know, me too.
No, I also love low country food and I love Southern food. Yeah. And it's really interesting because like all of Southern food is usually stolen from Black culture. Yeah. And it's usually from the slaves when they came over. They were making a lot of food from like Africa and mixing it with what they could get here. So stuff like sweet potato pie, it's like, where do you think that came from? Yeah. And it's just like a bunch of like white Southerners eating this shit and like pretending like they created it and they didn't. And it sounds like so good. And I remember being in New Orleans and one of the last times I went, like we kept going to restaurants that were really kind of nice. And I didn't really want the hipster version of low country food. I wanted low country food. And I finally got it. And it's just like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah. when you stumble into one of those places that just looks a little off and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't care, and you get in there, that food will blow your mind. Like, even the lowest quality of places. I'm sorry, even the Popeyes in New Orleans is different than the Popeyes everywhere else. Like, trust me, if you need a quick meal, stop at Popeyes. Actually, if you need a quick meal, there's, what is it called? Roscoe's Chicken. And it's right on, like, Bourbon. And they have
Oh,
the
yeah,
best.
yeah.
They have a lot of them. So good. But be careful if you get one of their alcoholic freezy things. No, okay. We got one at Jesse and I's bachelorette in New Orleans, and we got the red one. And we're drinking it. We're having a great time. It started to sweat red. Like, it looked like it was bleeding out. Just be careful, okay? It was eating, you want to know how much alcohol was in there? It was eating the styrofoam cup from the inside out. Then we stopped drinking it. Don't, get it, but be careful. Get it, but get the chicken, because you're going to need it to, like, diffuse the alcohol.
The other thing I was kind of craving was like a mint julep, like some sort of like ginger, mint, lime. That sounds so good.
Yeah. Something like a hot summer's day drink.
Yes.
Something so simple. Because it's so funny, because mint juleps, you look at it and you're like, that's complicated. But then you actually think about what's in it and you're like, oh, I could do this. I could do this right now. You just pour it straight in my mouth. I'm good. Let's go.
Well, it's funny stuff like that, like a mint julep, like it looks so fancy and complicated, but it's just like a $7 tumbler you can get at Target, and then you just like cram some shit, and you're good. You got it.
You got mint? You can make a julep. Let's go. Like, I mean, I'm sure you need alcohol too, but you know what I mean. Shut up, everybody.
One of the like, I think one of the cool, like, fucked up things about, because like we talked about the anti-Semitism with Jim, and what happens is that Jim is and all of this is true. He was a man who was new money and an art dealer, and he had this relationship with a very young boy who was poor. He's not like a well-to-do guy or anything like that. And they worked together, and they clearly have, a romantic sexual relationship going on. And he shoots him. He kills him.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of they both reached for the gun kind of a who did what when, Han shot first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like very questionable. And the interesting thing with Jim is that when we were talking about how the Savannah crowd kind of clambers around each other and protects each other, I think there's a bit of a split with Jim, because it's like, well, he was new money and he's clearly like gay or something. So that's like two big red marks on him where people want to turn against him. And there's a little bit of a schadenfreude going on of the Southerners there who want to see him get taken down, and they're kind of getting off on it. Yeah. And then the same thing of like, well, he's rich. He's one of us. He can't go through a trial. We are untouchable. It's like that kind of feel of like, but he's going to be fine. And the Christmas parties will keep going because we want to go to those Christmas parties. So they're going to continue. Life is normal. Let's just, push this under the rug. Like it's just so interesting that there's like this double pull from it. Yeah. And then you've got this voyeur of John Brent there just watching all of it the whole time.
Well, that was what was so insane too, is it was like, they talk a lot about all these other crimes that people got away with in the book. And I'm like, what? Holy crap, I need to get some money. Like, I don't plan on, like, purging anybody anytime soon, but, man, it'd be nice to have a rich community around me on the off chance something happens. Like, I
love that part in the movie where she's, like, got the gun and she's like, I might just kill you.
Yes. Oh, my God, and she pulls it out of her boobs, like, boop, boop, boop. I'm like, I don't have one of those. Dang, I need to go and get me some. Like, it is insane. It is insane, some of the stuff that is.
Yeah.
I mean, that is also one of my favorite things in the book is when they all gather. I think it's at the women's card game, or it might be at the party that Jim has his mother throw.
Yeah.
While he's in jail.
I love that party.
And they're all talking about like, well, what am I supposed to do? I was already planning on getting a new dress. I was going to have one made. Yeah. You think we'll have that Christmas party? And they're all like, of course we're gonna have the Christmas party. And it was never like they're not worried that he is on trial. They're worried about their social calendar, and it's so rich white people that I could not relate. And at the same time, I was like, I want this to be my problem.
I just realized something. I didn't even realize it until you were talking. It's similar to Party Monster when Michael Alec gets sent to prison and the things that he's worried about are still like, I'm going to get out and throw a
Yes.
party. And I hope that Seth Green doesn't steal the movie from me. Like, that was really what
Yeah.
was on his mind. And it's like, bro, you're in prison for killing somebody. What are you talking about?
So oblivious
Yeah.
to everything outside of their social world. Like it's so, oh my God.
Yeah,
That
Jim
is so
Williams is still on the
weird.
phone making sure that the fucking catering is going well.
Is Michael the New York version?
The baby version.
The
He's
baby
like the
version.
the
Yeah.
baby young it's like the cut from the same cloth kind of a thing.
That
Yeah.
is so bizarre. I didn't even put two and two together.
I never even thought about that
Oh
either.
my
That's so crazy.
goodness. Look at us. Look at you are experiencing us experiencing something for the first time. Thank you for sharing this moment. Oh my goodness. Now that's gonna change it. I'm gonna have to reread the book now with that as like the whole
Filter.
overarching idea. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like that's crazy to me. I mean, that stuff where he was like in jail trying to broker deals through his mom.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's really insane, and it's insane because the murder happens, and one of the things that people are upset about is that not that he killed a man, not that he killed someone, stole a life, but that the life he stole is the hottest ass in town.
Yeah.
And that it's this guy who is clearly either gay or gay for pay, and he goes both ways. And all of the rich people were wanting to fuck him, like the guys and the girls. And how part of the reason why they were sort of mad was that it's like this new money once again getting away with ruining our favorite toys.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
And it's when we talk about him, God, it's so sad to think that this is a young boy who left school.
Mm-hmm.
He left school. He was like 14 when he first met Jim.
14.
Like I just want to remind everybody that it's like because Jesse when he hadn't read the book, he never saw the movie. So he was like, okay, so this guy's like he's like, "Oh, Jude Law, he's like a bad guy or something, right?" And I was like,
Not really.
No, he's like when he first met Jim Williams, he was a 14-year-old boy. He had no prospects, he had no money, and he wanted to make his own money and be his own person. And he had problems. He had issues, and it sounded like a lot of his issues were home-based issues.
Yeah.
I mean, from what we're able to take away from the Southern gossip of the time that was put into this book. So you're like, it's depressing.
It is depressing.
And the fact that he mentioned to somebody else that he wanted to die because he had nothing else, that is sad. And then you add in the fact that he was murdered and all anybody in that town care about is he was hot and when's the next holiday party. Like your life has been dwindled down. You were basically used and abused by someone for so long.
And thrown away.
Yeah, it is awful. I hate to be a downer. I'm sorry, everybody. It was awful.
You're completely right. And the thing I don't like about the movie, because the movie consolidates a shit ton.
Oh yeah, so
adds in
much
stuff that's not necessary. It's like there's a lot of problems with the movie, but a lot of them I don't necessarily take as like an actual offense to me. You know, like a lot of it I can just kind of go like, well, it's a '90s movie. This is the '90s adaptation you were gonna get.
Yeah,
but the one that I really don't like is how Jim is sort of like this charming murderer, and how the character that is based on John Brent, but it's like a different character that John Cusack is playing, helps him get off. He helps him not get convicted and is proud of himself for helping him. And there's this like weird like kind of look that they give it to each other where they're like smiling, and it's almost like the movie wants you to think that the person who got shot and was killed is the bad guy of the
Yes.
movie. It's insane. It's bizarre.
They omit so much that's in the book that by the time, because they also condense, I had to pause and explain to Jesse. I was like, listen, it wasn't one trial, it was 4 trials.
4.
And he was
4.
convicted 3 of the 4, which blows my mind that everyone was like, no, he killed this kid, he should go to, and then they get outside of their jurisdiction, and all these people are like, we don't care about this art dealer, let him free. Like, it is so, like, Augusta was just like, not in our town. Like, we've got golfers to deal with. And it was so insane that he actually got out, and that everyone was like, oh, okay, he didn't do anything. No, he was convicted 3 times. People,
Yeah.
3 times of what? Murder. He committed a crime. An actual factual murder happened, and they were able to prove that he set up the crime scene. And yet everyone was like, nah, whatever. But that's the thing about the movie that really made me angry was like, when John Cusack enters the house.
Yeah.
And there's a photo taking of him in the house.
I
and
know.
they use that as evidence in the trial. I was like, I'm sorry, Clint Eastwood, where did you pull this?
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
Because the information that they already had, that there were shreds of paper on the handgun, that the hand was moved and it was like, you know, the blood had been like wiped off, that the gun that he was holding had no prints on it. All of this, the chair leg was on top of his pants.
That's the chair leg is the one that got me. And I remember reading it the first time around, and the chair leg was the one I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I don't have to go to detective school to know that's bullshit.
Yeah. And then when they're talking about the mess, the disaster of the house, in the movie, they make it seem like it's just big to do, but they also don't show a lot of the mess. In the book, they're like, oh, he broke his Atari game, which I thought was really funny. It was like, ha ha ha, this is so old. And I felt young for a minute. I was like, ha ha, Atari. And then they're like, he broke this, he broke that, and then they talk about that clock. And the clock that was broken and busted, yet not busted enough that he couldn't sell it to somebody else. That's when I was like, this is a setup. Call on order. I know who did it. Like,
I know who did it.
Like, how are you guys not seeing what everyone else has seen?
Yeah.
They killed him.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know if it's because of his name or what, but you know who I kept thinking of instead of Jude Law? I was like, you know who would like play this part really fucking well? But it is kind of like typecasting. Is the dude who plays Billy in Stranger Things.
Yes.
I was like, if I could like take that actor, you don't even have to change what you're wearing. Like, just keep that on. It's fine.
Hi, you still got that costume from Stranger Things? Come on over. We're shooting.
Look at that lace front wig. Okay, we're in business, baby.
Because that is him, minus the Confederate flag tattoo.
Yeah, and it's like, it's that feeling though of, let's just say he was a piece of shit kid. Let's just say he was from the wrong side of the street. That doesn't mean he deserves to die.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? I mean, that just doesn't mean like, okay, we can just sweep his death under the rug. Like, that's so depressing. It's so sad that, you know, you have this place and it's just so, okay, we have all this courtesy and, you know, pleasantry and all that, but we don't give a fuck if a poor kid dies. We do not care. If he is below this line of, you know, society, we don't give a shit. Like, that's just, it's sad.
It's very depressing. And
injustice.
It shows that seedy, you know, underbelly that Savannah has. It's like, yeah, we have these great parties, but we also have a guy that can't pay a single bill. Yeah. And we still let him run a bar. We've got a woman who most likely killed her husband, got away with it. We've got society clubs that are very selective, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, if you're white. And then you've got this entire other side of town
Yeah.
that is kind of like an invisible dividing line where they're like, you went where?
Yeah.
And it's all said in such a sweet way to try and get you to be like, what?
When we were
No.
driving out of Savannah, we within, like, you know how there's the mile
Yeah.
markers on, like, okay, within 2 mile markers of exiting Savannah and getting on the highway, you see other houses, and there were dogs on the roofs, and there were shacks. There were shacks. There was shack housing. And it's within walking distance. I
Yeah.
mean, it would probably only take an hour to walk there from where we had left. And that's like the thing I think of is like it's similar in Orlando where you've got Winter Park and you've got these like $1 million homes behind the Enzian. Well, guess what? A block down the street is like
Yeah.
Shantytown.
Like to quote Clueless, Savannah is a full-on Monet. You know? Like, you know what I mean? Like, from far away, it's great, but up close, it's a big old mess.
Right.
That is Savannah in a nutshell. That doesn't mean that Christina and I both don't love Savannah. It's got everything we're looking for in our lives. It's gothic, it's slow, it's southern. Everyone, it's got community. But
that's me, gothic, slow, southern. I'm very slow.
We're very slow. But you should see how long it took us to start recording this episode. But when you look
Let's start at 9 a.m. Ha, I'm 20 minutes late.
Yeah. We didn't actually start recording for 2 hours. We were on a call. It just took us 2 hours. We're catching up, y'all. But yeah, you know what I mean, though. Like, the closer you look in on Savannah, the more the walls cave in on itself.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like being on a film set. It is a facade. This one block is gorgeous. Everything around it is destroyed. It's like a bubble.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you really get into it with, you know, especially when they start talking about the other side of town in the book. Yeah. Where they're fixing it up, but they're not fixing it up the way they fixed up the rich side of town.
It's not a priority.
Yeah. It's not a priority, and they're using shoddy materials. Yeah. Where if I blew too hard on this house, it would catch on fire. Like, that's basically what we're talking about. And it's upsetting the way, is it Adler? The way he showcases that one house, and the woman has a guest book. Yeah. And I was just like, this feels wrong on so many levels, and I hate this.
Can we talk about something that's right, though? There are 2 words that I don't think we have uttered yet on this episode. And we've been recording for, I think it's about an hour, and I can't believe we haven't mentioned this.
Is it one of my favorite characters in the entire book?
Oh, what a character.
I mean, I think you're talking about the Lady Chablis.
The Lady Chablis!
The Lady Chablis!
I love the Lady Chablis. The Lady Chablis is a real person. Unfortunately, she did pass away. Yeah. Several years ago.
But she played herself in the movie.
She plays herself in the movie, which is the only reason why I can't say that I don't like the movie, because the movie captures the Lady Chablis' life essence, and that alone makes this movie a great movie.
How Joe Odom is that of Lady Chablis to play herself? Like, that was when I found out that Joe Odom had died of AIDS, I was distraught, because him in the book is so different than him in the movie, and I love him so much in the book. He is catty and funny, and he is basically like, I'm like, he can join our podcast whenever he wants. And when he finds out that he's hanging out with the Lady Chablis, he's like, look at the company you're putting me into with this movie. And then to have the Lady Chablis play herself in the film, I was just like, God has spoken.
She's so good.
So good.
She's so good.
Oh my God, that blue dress.
The blue
at the debutante ball. I can't even. I
can't with the Lady Chablis. I love the Lady Chablis, and I love everything that she does and says in that scene too. Yeah. When he's like, "Who do you think you are?" And she's like, "I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want to do."
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean I have to play by your rules? I don't have to play by your rules. Like, I love her, and she's so unapologetically true and real, and it's cool because I don't know. It's just you don't meet many people, and after he's met so many phonies, like so
Yeah.
many people that are very nice on the surface, but you don't really know what's going on underneath. The Lady Chablis is the Lady Chablis. Like he's just talking to
Yeah.
someone who is a person, and she's being like very legit and very real, and she's the one that is going to get the dirty looks
Yeah.
when she walks down the street half the time.
She feels like, because she's the most honest and she's kind of
Mhm.
like our center. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like she's the neutral good in this whole thing. She kind of feels like a Greek chorus situation in like an old Greek tragedy.
yeah,
Because
I can see that.
she's telling him like, "Are you kidding me?" Like the
Yeah,
entire time. Like
yeah.
he is our Greek hero in this, weird odyssey that he's in, and she's the one whispering in his ear like, "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Like
Yeah.
the whole time. And I love that she is this central point that we can all put a pin in and be like, this is it. I
Mhm.
wish more than anything in the world, that Clint Eastwood would have put in the entirety of the scene at the club, including when the Lady Chablis goes backstage and takes all of her ball gowns
I
back.
love that part.
The idea of a parade of club goers, all of these LGBTQ plus individuals parading through Savannah with her clothes, stopping traffic. I was like, oh, holy crap, I don't remember this in the movie. And if it's there, I am going to just guzzle a bottle of wine and watch the scene over and over and over again. And it wasn't there.
Yeah, she gets into this like argument with the club, and then
Yeah.
she ends up taking all of her shit out of it, and she's like, "This shit's mine." And the way that he describes it, it's almost like the Chinese dragons,
Yeah.
like those big like float things that like go through a parade.
Like,
That's
ugh.
what all of her clothing's like, and it's just like these big giant feathers and sequins and all these like the beautiful like burlesque type dresses that are just being like brought through the streets, and it can't fall on the ground, so it's all like lifted up high.
I was living for that scene in the book. I was like, I need more of this. And the fact that she had a relationship,
Yeah,
which was a beautiful relationship. They loved each other. He was
they
rubbing
loved
her
each other.
feet. I was like, okay.
I
This is
loved the I
perfect.
loved that you got to see the home life of the Lady Chablis, and
Hmm.
how at the end of it, like she's this big character, and has all the glamour and the glitz and everything, and a modicum of fame. Like she's got
Yeah.
some fame going on too in Savannah, but that she's got this like tiny little place that she lives at, and they have like regular problems like a car not working and stuff, and then like doesn't she make like chicken salad or
Yeah, she
something?
makes
Like
like,
it's just so
yeah.
like it's just so normal,
Yeah.
it's just so like regular, and it's nice that you get to see, because a lot of times like with RuPaul's Drag Race, you get to see the glitz of it, you get to see the glamour of it, but you don't get to see people just like eating peanut butter out of the
Yeah.
jar like the rest of us.
And not only that, but compared to everything we've seen so far in Savannah,
Mhm. Yeah.
like he's going to these houses where it's like napkins have to be laid out 5 minutes after
Right.
the guests arrive, then 10 minutes after that, water. And it's like everything else is so regimented, and then you get this beautiful creature who's just like, you want a soda? You want a sandwich? I am starving, and if he's gonna keep working on that car, I'm gonna eat. And it was just like, okay, you are the Lady Chablis, and I will follow you to the ends of the earth. You are everything I need in my life.
You want to
Oh
you
my
want to hear
God.
the biggest misfortune you're ever going to hear in your life?
Yes.
My
No,
husband
wait, no.
Carlos.
Do I? Yes.
You don't want to know. My husband Carlos was in Savannah early 2000s and was going to see the Lady Chablis, and last minute did not, and missed the opportunity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Nikki just took off her headphones.
I'm
to
walking
walk
out.
away.
I'm walking out, getting in. I'm renting a car. I'm driving to your house. And I'll get back in the car, and then we'll finish the podcast.
Imagine. And he didn't get to see, and he's like, it's one of the biggest regrets I have, because then unfortunately she passed away.
Yeah.
And It's just like to think that he could have actually seen her. And I'm like jealous because he was married to somebody else at the time. And even though we have an age difference and hadn't met, I'm very pissed that he was married to anybody that wasn't me. No, I'm just kidding. But
She's
it's
not
one of those
kidding.
things where, like, even if I'm jealous that I didn't get to see, I would have been happy to at least he got to see
Yeah.
her, and he didn't, which
It's
sucks.
that 6 degrees of separation situation
I
where,
saw the Lady Chablis.
yeah, because I know he would have described it to you in a really
Yeah.
good detail. You know what he would have done for you? He probably would have drawn you a picture. This is what
Well,
it
what's
looked like.
cool in Savannah, when I went, she had already passed away.
Yeah.
The theater that she performed at, she's got a huge, at least at the time, there was a huge poster of her at the side, which I thought was very cool. I'm like, okay, she's passed away and everything, but at least her presence is still here. Like, that's
Yeah.
very neat. And I can only assume that probably inside of the club, because now I'd still like to go, even though she's not there.
Yeah.
I assume that inside of the club, there's probably other portraits and stuff of her too. So
I bet
at
you
least
they have
like,
a drink named after her.
probably.
And if
probably.
not, we should make a Lady Chablis.
Yeah.
And I want it to be blue. I want it to
Yes.
be blue, just like that gown she wears to the debutante ball. Oh my God, when she asked that kid, "You're an escort?"
No, with my sister. Now, do not tell me you were sleeping with your sister.
Dead. Completely dead. And the fact that it is the same as it is in the book, of all the things in the movie, that is page to screen, done. Beauty.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss, if you will. Oh, I just want to talk about Lady Chablis forever.
I love the Lady Chablis. Lady Chablis in the courtroom.
Oh, she's so good. She's very much like Velma Kelly Chicago. She comes
very, very similar.
when she agrees to do it, and she's like, well, now I gotta get a new outfit. I was just like, I am obsessed.
I like too in the movie and some of this stuff is made up. Some of the stuff was
Yeah.
not in the book. It's stuff that they wrote for the movie. But I'll tell you what, like, the thing about making Jim almost like a hero in the movie really bothers me. But
Yeah.
a lot of the other stuff that they changed kind of doesn't. And I sort of don't care about the added Lady Chablis stuff because I love the Lady Chablis. So please make her the lead of the film. I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
But when they want to sneak into the morgue at the hospital and they're like, well, how do we get a distraction? And then it's just a jump cut to the Lady Chablis screaming, getting like wheeled into the
I
emergency
love
room.
it.
And she's like, I'm dying. I'm going to lose the baby.
My everything. Are you kidding me? When they're in the courtroom and she's looking at the jury and she's like, ma'am, that is not your color. And it's like, I did not know the library was open. Reading the jury for filth, and the judge is like, you are not to talk to the
Yeah.
jury. And she's like, sorry.
There is what's nice about the Lady Chablis, and I always have so much respect for, because like now we have a lot more awareness and discussion over, being trans, and you're not necessarily a gender, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of like room there that you can work within. Like there's a lot of that discussion now. But what's cool, this is in the 90s that the
Mhm.
movie came out and the book came out, but a lot of this shit was in the 80s. And so you've got the Lady Chablis, living her truth. And like there's the line where he's like, I'm not gay, and she's like, I'm not either.
Yeah.
I'm not gay either.
She knew who she was.
Yeah.
She refused to be called Mr.
And she gets really fucking pissed when
Yeah.
he dead names her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they don't do that in the movie. I think that upset me too.
Yeah.
Is that when he calls out to her and he's like, well, I tried to find you, but your home is listed under Frank.
Yeah.
And she just plays out, honey, I'm Frank. And I was like, I wanted her to get back over to him and be like, don't you ever call me that again.
She does say it once, and I think it's at the debutante ball, but I think it's very under the breath. I
Yeah.
think that he does call her that, and then she says, like, don't call me that name again, but it's very quick.
Yeah.
It's within, like, seconds.
Ah, the Lady Chablis.
I love the Lady Chablis.
She's so good. And speaking of the thing at the morgue, that's
Yeah.
the things that upset me the most about this movie is, like you said, Jim Williams is painted as a hero, that he put a stop to a teenage menace. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Teenage menace.
Yeah. Reminder, he's a child. He's a child who was sexually assaulted, if we will.
And I even referred to him as like a man earlier, and I'm like, yeah, she's right. Like, because I'm thinking of Jude Law.
Jude Law was a man. This character, though, is a boy. Remember that.
Man.
Oh, man, playing a boy. Isn't that how it always goes? Anyways, that was weird. I don't know why I said that.
At least his accent was spot on.
Yeah.
At least he did that service.
Super. At least he was only in 2 scenes. Saved us all. But the idea that we have an author who now is from Town and Country. What? He was in Town and Country magazine. That sounded so much. When he said that he was working with Town and Country magazine, Jesse turned to me, and his favorite movie, by the way, is
National Treasure 2. Cruise Control.
It is National Treasure. Oh, goodness. Oh, my God. I just drew a blank. Hugh Grant, Julia Roberts.
Oh, Notting
Hill. Jesse loves Notting Hill. So when he said that he was working for Town and Country, Jesse goes, and I'm working for Horse and Hound. And I was like, I can't with you. Shut up. Because the girls who get it, and the ones who don't. So sorry, Christina. Apparently you didn't get it. It was funny.
I love this story. It's so good so far.
Oh, shut up. Anyways. It's been a long morning. Anyways, the idea that we have this author who is gallivanting around Savannah gathering clues like he's, the Scooby-Doo gang.
Scooby gang.
Is so problematic to me in the movie because, first of all, you're not a lawyer. Stop it. And the book does a really good job of letting you know how some of this information came across, how they were getting this. Suddenly you've got John Cusack in the hospital being like, we did it! We solved the crime! Gigawatts, Marty! No! You don't. That's not how it works. What was so beautiful about it was somebody else was doing all that stuff while he was on the road with Jim in the book trying to get a voodoo person to put a hex on everybody. That's what was so great about the book is that you have real law and order, and then you have Jim Williams believing in voodoo and hoodoo.
Which is a very Nazi thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Very Nazi thing. Nazis were all sorts of into the occult and all sorts of weird shit. So I just want to more proof that he's a Nazi.
He's a super Nazi. He had blonde hair and blue eyes. He loved the sound of music, but only half of it.
No, there is this thing to it of that happened.
Yeah.
They and I know we talked about some of the things maybe didn't happen, but that happened. They went to the fucking swamp to try and curse people. It's insane. And that's, I think that this is where we start talking about what we come to the conclusion with at the end of the podcast. But this would be such a good fucking TV show because there's so much that happens. I mean, you could have an episode for each trial. Each trial could have its own episode. You got 4 right there.
I would, not only would this make a good TV show, I would watch a whole remake of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The whole movie needs to be redone because there is stuff that Clint Eastwood should not have done this.
I know. He should not have directed it.
I'm saying that.
Huge mistake.
Get off my lawn should not have directed this. This was because of his direction, and I feel like he's very heavy-handed when he directs. Because he primarily directs for himself. So I think he was directing this film the way he wanted it to be seen.
Yeah.
And what comes across is a love story. Why? Nobody knows. Didn't need to be there. Cut it. That was a waste of time that should have gone to the Lady Chablis.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been there. I feel like this is, every time I do this, I feel like it's Bring It On. Platter. It was right there. Silver platter. Everything you needed. Everything you needed. It's in the book. Just do the book. TV show, every chapter of the book is a different episode.
Yes. It's got the same feeling to me as my feelings with Dracula.
Yes.
Dracula is a really good book, and no one has ever done it. Nobody.
Yeah.
including Francis Ford Coppola, has ever done an exact adaptation of Dracula, which is so infuriating because it's all there. There's so many good things in this book. You don't need to add more to it. And with Midnight in the Garden, it's the same thing. It's like, this shit's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're adding things? There's already so much.
You don't need a love story. Honestly, I would take a movie that was all Joe Odom hopping from house to house, because it is, can you imagine, okay, it's a TV show, right? And the beginning of every episode is him trying to find Joe Odom in his new house. Because he's never in the same place twice. Every time we get back to Joe, he's in a new house doing the same stuff, just in a new location. And it was so funny that this is what, he's got a hair salon in his kitchen. This is your Joe. You know what? I would even say that Ryan Murphy could do this.
Oh my God. Okay, so you're so funny. You're making me laugh right now. So, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I don't have many notes for Midnight in the Garden.
Me either.
Okay. And one of the only notes I wrote down on my phone was Clint Eastwood should not have directed this film. And I had the movie on, and then my husband Carlos, who has read the book and watched the movie before, he was like, I think the biggest problem was Clint Eastwood shouldn't have directed this movie. I said, it's so funny you just said that, because that's what I said. And then he said, and I was like, I feel like it could be a TV show, like a really good TV show. And he said, the only person, though, I would not want touching this is Ryan Murphy.
I know. Like, this is where I'm torn, is that if you look at season 3 of American Horror Story, which is my favorite, Coven, when he's in New Orleans, he's able to do a good gothic-y Southern. And that's what I like. What we need as a director, you know what? Why don't we get Jordan Peele to do a TV show? Because Jordan Peele is really good. Now that I'm putting it out there, thinking about Get Out and the way he's able to shoot rich white people on film.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele should do
the discomfort, the like quiet discomfort under everything. Yeah.
Could you imagine the women's card game shot by Jordan Peele with the timing of the drinks?
Yeah.
Okay. Jordan Peele's our director. The kid who played Billy is taking over as our unfortunate murder victim.
He'd be so good.
I do want to say, how awkward was it watching the movie, knowing everything we know about Kevin Spacy now, and seeing him in this movie?
It sucks because Kevin Spacy is so good in this movie.
Yeah.
I think that him as Jim is chef's kiss. Like, I think he's actually really fucking good. And it just kills me because he's so distracting now.
Yeah.
Because what Jim did and what the character did and that whole thing is so similar to what went down with Kevin Spacey. It's such a bummer, and it like makes me feel really uncomfortable it's the thing I've always talked about, where it's like it's easy for me to watch a Clark Gable movie because he's not necessarily doing stuff that I know Clark Gable did in real life that sucks. But watching a Woody Allen movie, it's almost impossible for me because all of Woody Allen movies are about exactly what Woody Allen did.
Yeah.
And this is a tough one because the story's so good. The character's so interesting. He is so good in it, but he's doing the shit he did in real life.
Yes. That's where I was like unable to really remove the artist from the art.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was just like, oh, I'm sitting in this grossness for like 2 hours. I'm like, oh, ugh. And then you watch American Beauty and you're like, okay. Okay.
7. He's really good in 7. He's really good in a lot of movies.
The Usual
Even
Suspects.
Baby Driver. I just watched Baby Driver, and he was really good in that.
Baby Driver. God, he's in so many good movies. Why are you so problematic? Because you know what? Ugh, whatever. We have to cast. We have to recast him though, because he can't do it again. What if John Cusack played that part?
Oh my god. That would be so interesting. And John Cusack I really liked in this movie because I just recently watched Con Air. Con Air was on TV. I kind of like Con Air. Yeah. Okay. So Con Air was on TV and he plays kind of the dick in it. Like he's a little bit of a dick. And John Cusack is the strangest thing because he was such like this cute kid in the 80s. And then a lot of his characters in the 90s are a little dickish.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a trope. Like, I think that there's this unfortunate thing that happens, especially in the late 90s going into to the 2000s, where men were like applauded for being dicks and tools.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, John Cusack, a lot of his characters are sort of painted that way, but not this one.
No.
This is like one of the few in that like late 90s time frame where he's a likable guy and he's not a dick. The only time he's sort of a dick, and it's very unfortunate, is he does, I think, mistreat the Lady Chablis.
Yeah.
And in the debutante ball, it's like, why is he pushing her? Like, can you please like stop
don't put your
with
hands on her. She's a lady.
Don't put your fucking hands on the Lady Chablis, please.
God. Oh,
she is a princess, a queen, a goddess.
Christina.
What? Oh God, what?
Christian Bale.
Ah! As Jim?
Yes. With the mustache. I'm done.
The mustache.
I quit. I cannot. I can't.
Yeah, and he like loses just a little bit of weight. Like normal on the thin side.
Not the machinist thin, just like
no,
average
no,
human
we're
being
never doing
thin.
that again.
Could you see him seersucker suit?
Yeah.
Holding a mint julep?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The accent.
Oh my God. We're going to get an Emmy for this. We're definitely getting an Emmy for this.
Christian Bale, at this point, though, he's almost like, you know, he's going into that, like, Cate Blanchett thing. It's just, like, just the two of them can do whatever the fuck they want to do. Like, they're so good. Cate Blanchett could play Jim Williams, too.
No, but this would... Cate Blanchett should be Serena.
Yeah!
Don't get it twisted. But this could really change the game on Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he plays a lot of parts that definitely should be awarded.
Yeah.
And he's not.
No.
He's going to get an Emmy for this.
Him and Bradley Cooper, they're going to like get some sort of Lifetime Achievement Award bullshit.
What if Bradley Cooper plays the... Oh I quit this.
I do want to say something about John Barrett.
Yes.
Okay. So I was unable to verify this from something specific out of his mouth, but I saw on multiple websites reported that he is gay.
Yes, I heard that too.
Okay, so multiple websites say that he is gay and he's had a long-term partner, but I didn't see anything on his side of the boat confirming or denying it either way, whether he's straight or married or gay or whatever. And I think that if he is a gay man, I think and you can't, I'm not trying to, it's wrong to like purposefully out someone. It's wrong to tell someone who has, and maybe they are in a closet. Like it's wrong to tell someone like you shouldn't be out of the closet. It's all whatever you're comfortable with is what you should do. But I think there's a major disservice to the book and to a lot of the characters, and a major disservice to the film if he is gay, that he wasn't presented as gay.
Yeah.
Because it does kind of change things. And like the way that the made up character in the movie interacts with the Lady Chablis, I don't think would have happened.
No, I agree.
It been known that he's gay.
There'd be an understanding between the two of them.
Yes.
Which I think there is in the book.
I think there is in the book. I think there is.
The most that he is appalled by her is when she takes her boob out. And he's kind of just like, I can see that so clear in my mind, how great that would be. Just him holding onto the steering wheel of that big car with his eyes wide, just like, kind of like peering over, like, is it back? What do you, just put it back, just,
What does she call it again?
What, her tea?
Yeah, her tea.
Her tea.
Yeah.
Her candy. She's
her candy. That's it. Her candy. I was
trying
to think there's a word that she's like, you want to see my candy?
And he's like, I don't want to see your candy.
I don't want to see your candy.
Miss Chablis, I don't want to see. Like, you can feel that. Like, I don't want to do. No, you are a beautiful woman, and I will not take advantage of you. Like, perfect. Well,
there's more. You can have that exact same scene, the same dialogue, but when it's between a gay man, what is it coming from a gay man saying it? I think there's a level of understanding and a level of kind of like playfulness there, where you can kind of like be yourself and talk. Like you and I tease each other. Like, you could tease each other and kind of have an understanding and a playfulness without this kind of fear of the unknown, borderline,
homophobia.
Homophobic. Yes. Thank you. It's like a borderline homophobia that he gets instead. And that's the way it's translated in the film,
Yeah.
which I think is a huge shame and a disservice.
Yeah, the Lady Chablis deserves better. And
Yes.
so does him. Like, he deserves better.
Yeah.
Whatever actor we have portray him in our Emmy award-winning series starring Christian Bale and Kate Blanchett has to have an understanding that we are not outing the actor, but we should be able to play it almost like in American Psycho when they kept having him do the scenes as if he knew that he had killed people and how he didn't know. So we're going to have you play the scene both as if you are gay and if you are straight, and we're going to blend the two together, and no one's going to know. It's going to be very ambiguous. It's going to be beautiful.
Yes, exactly.
So it could be Bradley Cooper in this role.
Think about Bradley Cooper and Christian Bale together.
I think it would be a joy.
Hilarious.
It'd be a hilarious romp. I would enjoy it so much. Them together in his house while Christian Bale is showing off all the Nazi memorabilia.
And then
Bradley
Billy
Cooper.
comes storming through.
Yes. You see, it's going to be the most amazing show on television. But now comes the hard part. The Lady Chablis.
Man, I don't fucking know. CGI her, kind of like Rogue One, the way they did it with.
You know who reminds me a little bit of the Lady Chablis in the way that she was talking?
Mm-hmm.
Coco Montrese.
Oh, Coco. That's like, it's so funny. Like, you mentioned Coco Montrese, and it's just like, oh, that's a name I haven't thought of in a while.
Yeah. I know. When I was literally watching the movie, I was like, she looks so familiar to me.
And so skinny, too.
Yeah. She looked so familiar that I Googled drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race, and I was like, oh my God, I thought she was Coco Montrese. And I was like, that is such, like, if someone told me that I looked like the Lady Chablis, I would take that to be the highest compliment.
She's so pretty. She's so pretty. And like that blue dress, it's insane because her body is just like kind of perfect. Yeah. It's crazy.
She's everything. She's like the perfect individual. She's everything.
Yeah. I love too when, and I don't know, like I didn't look up pictures or anything of whether or not they filmed like her house scenes in her real house or if that was a set. I assume it's probably a set, but they probably looked at wherever she lived and then upped it. Like that's my assumption.
Yeah.
But I was just like, man, I would want to hang out with her. Like I would want to go and eat chicken salad sandwiches and just hang out and like, can I touch your clothes?
Yeah.
Can we you bought some new ones? Let me see you put them on.
Can we sew together? Yeah, fashion show. I'll put on the music. We'll put on some fun jazz and we'll do a fashion show. Oh my God, that'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to try on wigs with her.
Yeah.
Wig party. Oh my God, can we get a time machine right now and hang out with Lady Chablis?
I can just imagine though, you like putting your hand over like to touch a wig and she's like
it's very much
hands off my wig.
No, it would be very much in the vein of Pretty Woman. and then she'd turn to me and be like, "No, I meant what I meant." And I'll be like, "Okay." Like, I'm so sorry.
Sorry,
Miss Chablis.
Sorry, Lady Chablis.
I'm sorry. You sounded just like Clarice from Silence of the Lambs. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Miss Chablis.
I'm sorry, Mr. Blee. Look at you with your cheap bag. And
Miss Chablis.
Miss Chablis.
Lady Chablis.
Here's my business card.
Business card from Lady Chablis.
Oh my God. I just thought of like, what if you got all of like the scarves from Buffalo Bill and all the dresses from the Lady Chablis?
You'd win RuPaul's Drag Race.
I'd win RuPaul's Drag Race.
It's not chocolate for you. It's chocolate. I think our TV show is going to be thebomb.com.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
I think so too.
Like, we don't need to worry about all the extra characters right now.
The cool thing with Midnight in the Garden, and this is where, like, this is good true crime. Like, this is good storytelling and good, like, macabre storytelling where there were a lot of parallels and because Jim ends up he's got the 4 trials, convicted 3 times, and he's let loose. And then what happens to Jim Williams? He dies. And how does he die, and where does he die, Nikki?
He dies in the room where he killed him. My God, he dies in there. And it's like, the way they describe it in the book is so different than the way it's done in the movie. I hate the movie ending.
Yeah.
I just want to say this. I hate the way the movie ended because they made it seem like he finally won all his battles. He finally defeated evil, only to have that boy come up from the grave and kill him in his office. And because there's that whole thing where Kevin Spacy sees the ghost of him with all that blood dripping out of his mouth, and he's clutching his heart like, no. But the book, he's in his office, and it's kind of the same thing. He has a heart attack or whatever.
Yeah.
But when they find him in that room, they say that he was in the spot he would have been in if he had actually been shot.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I love it, and there's an interesting element where he did try to do, like, voodoo, and there is something to it, and it's the whole bit of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, where she explains that, like, the hour before midnight is for doing good, and then the hour after midnight is for doing evil. And so and with things like voodoo and magic and all that kind of stuff, it's witchcraft. It's like, it's all about the energy you put in and equals and how everything balances out. So if you put in energy, you're also going to get out energy. Yeah. So like the fact that this kid gets shot and is killed, and then he is shot and killed not shot and killed. He has his heart attack and dies, but only after he is let loose. There's just something so poetic about it, and so coincidental and insane that it's like that type of stuff is the type of thing that like keeps us spooky people going. I think it's like, well, you can tell me that ghosts aren't real, but can you explain this shit to me, please? Because there is a balance of energy to life, and this is insane.
I guess this is the time when I ask the ultimate question. Do you believe his account that he tells John? Do you believe Jim's account of what happened? Me either.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, no.
Do you want to explain how he talks about the murder in the book? Do you want to tell?
What do you mean?
Well, so there are different ideas as to what happened.
Oh,
you don't believe what happened. I don't believe what he says happened either. Do you want to, because the whole trial's going on, and one of the theories is like, the gun was too hard to pull the trigger, and it's like, no, it's not. But do you want to explain how he described, because he describes what he says happened that night.
No, I want to hear you explain it. I can see in your face you have a lot of thoughts, so I want to hear you explain it because I want to hear your thoughts too.
Because I'm angry.
I know, that's why I'm like...
So Jim tells because in the book he's an unnamed author. He tells our unnamed...
Listeners, whenever you hear Nikki taking a deep breath and then she goes, so there means there's some shit.
That means some lies are about to be told. Listen. So Jim tells our unnamed author that what had happened was that everything leading up to it happened the way he said. That Jim was going to Europe, that was his name Danny? Is that his name?
That was Billy.
Billy? In the movie it's Billy, isn't it?
Oh, maybe I'm just thinking of the movie then. I think it
Danny Hansford, because he's Billy Hanson in the movie.
Yeah.
I love Hanson. The fourth Hanson brother. Anyways, we'll have to pay if I keep singing. So Jim says that Danny threw a big fit, ruined his Atari, and everything leading up to it was the same because they were supposed to go on a trip to Europe, and he asked him to come with him,
Yeah.
Which is a very weird proposition to pose on a teenager. Once again, I think he's like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
Maybe 21. He's not that old. He's been, being paid for his services for an extended period of time, which is abuse. Anyways, they're supposed to go to Europe, and he wants to bring his weed cigarettes on the trip. And I was like, just let him get arrested, I guess, because that's what's going to happen when you try to bring drugs on an airplane. But what do I know? It was the 80s. Things were different then.
I like that they're weed cigarettes, not joints.
Yeah, the weed cigarettes. His marijuana, if you will.
Marijuana.
He wanted to bring his marijuana on our trip. And I said no. I said, no, you're not going to do that. Now you are not going with me on my expensive trip to Europe. I was just like, what? Oh my God. It's like, I'm sorry. What? So basically, he's saying that he was all mad at him because he wasn't going to get to Europe. And that he grabbed a gun and threatened him and said, oh my God, they say it all the time. Why can't I think of this line?
Yeah, it's like you're not gonna be here.
I might be leaving. Yeah, I might be leaving tomorrow, but you're leaving today.
Yeah.
He puts the gun on him. It is so good. You're leaving. I can see him running house to house, telling everybody that this is what he said and acting it out so dramatically. I love it. Oh my God, Christian Bale saying that. Emmys. I can feel it in my bones. Also, TM. Anyways, this is our movie now. TV show. Whatever. So, he says that he took one of his German guns. Reminder, German guns. And threatened to shoot him.
It's a Nazi gun.
It's a Nazi gun. A Nazi touched it. And he threatened to shoot him with it. With the whole, I might be leaving tomorrow, but you're leaving tonight. And it wasn't loaded. The safety was on. And he couldn't figure out the safety. And while he was trying to get the safety off, Jim Williams stood up with his loaded Nazi gun that he keeps in his desk. He also has one in his bedroom. He has one in the kitchen. He's got them loaded all over the house because he's scared of what he calls burglars. Mm-hmm.
Well, and he says, it's so funny, and this is kind of what I was talking about, where, like, with the Southerners and the people in Savannah, it's like they say something and you have to just go, uh-huh. Yeah. Like, there's something else going on here. Because what he says is, like, I've got a great alarm system for when I'm not here, but when I'm here, you don't want the police coming in, so I got the guns everywhere. And it's like, well, wait, why don't you want the police coming into your house when you're here?
It's very bizarre.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A little sus, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly. So he pulls his gun out of his desk drawer while the kid's struggling to undo the safety on his gun, and he shoots him.
Which is what you see kind of like in the movie.
Yeah.
Is that. Yeah.
And he gets all kind of like flustered by it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh no. Oops, I killed him. And then he admits to basically setting the scene. Yeah. And then calling his lawyer. And then calling the police.
Yeah.
No. That's not how it happened. It's definitely not how it happened.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing with a character like Jim is, okay, so you weren't lying then, but you're telling me you're not lying to me this time.
Yeah.
It's not the best word that I could take right now from someone.
Yeah.
I was lying before, but I'm not lying this time.
But then he doesn't even have to tell this story.
Yeah.
He doesn't tell anybody this story besides our unnamed author in the book because his legal team has another loophole for him, and he's like, sounds good, let's go with that one instead. And that's what they go with, and it's just like, no, he's definitely one of those people who, Jim comes across as one of those people who, when he says something enough, he believes it.
Yeah.
Which is why he kept saying that whole thing about, but you're leaving tonight. And that's why it's so memorable, because you have to say it enough to make yourself believe it to be true.
Well, it's a line like that is funny because it's such a good line.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really think an unsophisticated 19-year-old said that?
No.
Like that's a very dramatic, Queenie type thing to
Yeah.
say.
It's
Like
very rehearsed.
it's very rehearsed. It's very like Days of Our Lives.
Yes, very soap opera. And
Yeah.
I ate it up. I was like, this is the best. I love it.
And this is where too we talked about the Kevin Spacey thing. When Kevin Spacey delivers that line in the movie, it's
Mm-hmm.
so good.
He's so good. But do you have a theory on what you think happened? And how he died?
I mean, nothing more complicated other than he killed the kid.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there was I'm sure that there was some sort of argument. I'm sure that it could have gotten physical, but I don't think that there was anything in the evidence that led me to believe that he was in self-defense.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to throw out a theory out there that's going to sound so unbelievably insane.
Johnny Mercer's ghost.
No.
Okay.
Although that would be fun. Oh, what? He tried to shoot the ghost and accidentally shot the kid?
Yeah, that is a crazy idea. Who came up with that one?
Johnny Mercer's out there singing Moon River and he's like, what's that? Bang, bang. Oh no, I shot a child. No, I wouldn't be surprised if they did have a disagreement and Danny was like, that's fine. I'll just tell everybody about you.
Exactly.
And used their relationship. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's how Danny got out of a lot of the stuff that he was in. Because why else would this man be showing up to jail all the time, bailing him out, getting him a car, giving him cash, if there wasn't some sort of blackmail situation going on? And I wouldn't be surprised if this was a final straw for him. And he was like, I'm done with you. I'm just going to tell everybody the truth. And went into his office.
Yeah.
Went into Jim's office to pick up the phone to call somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim was like hell you are, because they talk about it in the book that there were gunshots in the back. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if he got shot twice in the back before he turned around. He got shot in the front, fell on the ground. And then Jim went, oh, crap.
Yeah.
And then set the stage. That's how I think it happened.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense.
Given my extensive knowledge of Law and Order, I believe I have cracked the case.
Oh, I mean, and it's funny that you mentioned like the back thing too, because when I was watching the movie and stuff, like it's different when you see it visually, and it's just like he shoots him and then he falls and then he shoots him again when he's on the ground, which isn't like the craziest thing.
Yeah.
But most people who shoot someone do not do what they should be doing and what they never do in movies, which is a kill shot. Like you shoot someone and you want to make sure that they're down, because you can get shot a million times in the chest and not die.
Yeah.
Like to shoot someone and then make sure that they're dead and kill them again. Most people don't do that. Like most people, even if it's a crime of passion, most people don't think about that.
Yeah.
But he did. And it's just like, okay, so you shot the guy first in the chest and then twice in the back. This isn't really sitting right.
See?
This isn't sitting right.
I think he shot him in the back first.
Yeah, that would make
twice
sense.
In the back, and then when he turned around from the shock of being shot,
or even if he fell backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he shot
him. He probably would have
heart.
fallen backwards. Yeah.
We could get a Ouija board and go ask him.
Man, I want a Ouija board, and my husband's like, absolutely not.
I'm scared of them, but I want one.
I want one so bad.
Well,
and it's funny because I have a Ouija board like
Trey.
Thank you. So like all I need is a planchette. It's basically a Ouija board itself.
You could make one.
I could make one.
Could you imagine how mad Carlos is going to be when he listens to this? Stop telling her what to do. Make one and talk to the dead. I didn't tell her that. I didn't do it.
He's definitely a Nazi. Oh my God. We made contact.
We did it. Wait, who? Because there's a lot of them now.
The asshole sitting next to me in hell. We're both here.
But like, I at the end of the day, when you look at the whole thing, it if you were to take away like the Lady Chablis and Joe Odom, it's a sad story.
Yeah,
It's depressing.
It's very depressing. It's also very Gatsby, and I know we've like mentioned Gatsby a few times, but like the self-made man, the man who throws all these parties,
The
he does all
American
this
dream.
stuff. Yeah, and it's like he's even like a voyeur, very much like Gatsby, where he's got shit in his house and like food in his house he doesn't even like.
Yeah.
He just keeps it there because he knows other people like it. It's very, very Gatsby. And then the shooting of someone who's a lower class, someone who is being used for sex. It's all the same shit.
Yeah.
Oh, same shit, different place, different year. Same shit.
It's all repeating.
Yep.
Ugh. There's so many layers
to
this. And that is why, once again, I do think that this should be remade.
I think so too.
Be it a TV show directed by Jordan Peele or a movie. You know, I would put my stamp of approval on anything that doesn't involve Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. There was one Clint Eastwood thing I wanted to mention.
Mm-hmm.
The love interest in this movie.
Jesus Christ.
Do you know who plays her?
Oh, you mean the Nepo baby?
That's Clint Eastwood's daughter.
Yeah.
And it creeps me out because there is such a male gaze over her. And the way that she's presented is so sexual in nature. And the fact that her dad filmed her that way.
Yeah.
Her dad is directing her doing all this stuff. It creeps me out.
The nepotism runs deep in Hollywood. That well will never run dry. We will have Nepo babies until we die. But that was beyond awkward. When John Cusack comes over and starts making out with her in the hallway, and it's shot in that, a cat. This is like Grandpa Joe licking the wall situation.
It really is. There's the part when they are walking through like, what is it? Like a playground or something like that. It's like late at night and they're walking through it. And the way that she's shot, it's like there's like the trees and there's light coming through the trees and the light is square in her boobs.
Yeah.
And then she turns around so that you see like her back and it's all very feminine and very kind of sexual. And the light's like then on her back. And I'm like, bro, that's your daughter. Yeah. This is really weird. And it's a made up character. This isn't necessary. All of this is unnecessary. And you added it and you cast your daughter and now you're shooting her this way. And nobody told you to do that except for you. This is bizarre.
It's very bizarre. It's very...
I don't like it.
I can't. It skeeves me out.
Why is it all like? Isn't he like weirdly Republican and stuff like that? Like
super.
This is what they do. This don't they?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No, I don't like it either.
Do you think we're weird because we like drag queens? They're just drag queens. Like stop filming your daughter all sexy.
Yeah. Also, drag queens.
That shit's weird.
Drag queens provide entertainment. This is just skeevy, and I don't like it.
This is skeevy.
Yeah. This is bizarre.
This is weird.
This makes me sick.
We need to talk about something else.
Yeah.
I don't like sitting in this.
Me either. I want to get out. I want out. I think now's a good time to decide which was better, the book or the movie.
Book.
Yeah. Agreed.
Book big time.
Yeah. Same.
But the Lady Chablis is in the movie.
She is. Well,
which makes it hard because I love her so much.
It was very interesting to me to find out not only that the Lady Chablis plays
There's
herself.
Like a couple.
Yeah, well, like the guy who was actually Jim's lawyer is the judge. Yeah. And the guy that got to play him in the movie, they look so similar that Jesse was like, I think they're related. I was like, they are not related. Like, there's also a lot of stuff that I dislike in the movie. Like the stuff about the guy who has the poison to kill, the poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison. He has the poison and can like poison all of Savannah. That was done so bizarrely, and I feel like he was very wronged in the film. And I know I read some stuff where he felt like his character was wrong in the book too.
Yeah.
But at least in the book, you know, you can say, because the author says, hey, this stuff isn't all 100% correct. But in the movie, you have somebody in this film who people are going to associate you with for the rest of your life. This is not good.
Yeah.
Because in the book, he's not nearly as crazy.
Yeah.
He's just a normal guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
a due diligence that I think they did not do, which is surprising because they did have a lot of love for Savannah the place,
Yeah.
and you can see that in the movie. There is definitely a feel of respect towards Savannah in the movie that I appreciate, but you would have thunk that they would have extended that courtesy and respect to other factual things that they did not do.
Yeah. That's the upsetting part. Like, it is so beautifully shot that it makes you want to live there.
Yeah.
And yet, reading the book, like, this podcast has ruined some great movies for me.
Yeah.
Because then you read the book and you're like, what? Listen, I still to this day have not rewatched Forrest Gump.
Me neither.
Since we watched it. And it's on TV a lot. I cannot wrap my head around the fact that he was also a wrestler and an astronaut who was a best friend to a monkey.
See, the Forrest Gump for me is kind of ruined because I never realized how hollow of a movie it is.
Yeah.
That it's actually not about anything. And even that horrible book has more of a point to it than the movie does. That's crazy.
It's insane. I still haven't watched Jaws again either since we did Jaws last year.
Well, Jaws is, I love Jaws. Like, and this is the nice thing about the podcast for us is that, like, I have a better appreciation for things like Jaws and Pride and Prejudice and Clueless post podcast than I did before, but less respect for things like Forrest Gump post podcast.
This podcast just ruins it. Like, I don't know if I can safely say, I don't know if I will. If Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil is on TV, I will watch it.
Yeah.
But I think I would probably, especially once the weather changes and it gets a little bit crisper out, I feel like I will probably be like, I want to revisit this world. Whereas watching the movie, I feel like I'll just be like, oh, what's on? I'll watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's time. It's time for the book list. I don't know why I said it. I said it like in Harry Potter when he's like, troll in the dungeon. Books in the list. Well, I do declare, I believe it is time for us to talk about what is going on our book list.
Oh, my Lord.
And as a reminder, the way this book list is set up is based off of, would we read it again? Would we watch it again? And is it a true page-to-screen adaptation?
My gracious. So many rules.
Well, there's got to be rules. You don't want unruly individuals. What do you think I am, a monster?
Now, why don't you go on and tell me what the book list is looking like now? Take your time, sugar.
Blaz, I am just... if it ain't as hot as the 4th of July,
It's hotter than molasses.
It's molasses.
The way we keep our molasses, the show is, baby.
I believe what you meant to say is I am slow as molasses. And yes, I am.
Hey, listen, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it now.
Apologies. Let me control myself. The book list, as it stands at this present moment, one, because don't make me laugh. Stop making me laugh. In the first spot, our number one favorite, everyone's favorite, shaken not stirred, Mr. James Bond in Casino Royale.
He is a debutante of the ball.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he would be so good as an escort.
Think about Daniel Craig walking down a long, like, plantation-style staircase with a big white dress on. He could carry it.
Shut up. Daniel Craig should be in our TV show. Daniel Craig would be so good as Jim. Oh, my God.
Daniel Craig is Jim.
Oh, my God. And then Christian Bale should be Joe Odom.
Holy shit. Think about Daniel Craig's accent in Knives Out.
I can't. That's what I'm thinking of. Oh, my God.
Him just switching it up a little bit and doing a Jim. Oh, my God. That's so good.
Oh, my God.
With a mustache.
Yes! Seersucker suits. Everyone's in seersucker suits. I can't. Oh, my God. Okay, anyways, the book list. Casino Royale, The Princess Bride, Pride and Prejudice, The Commitment, Silence of the Lambs, Dr. No means no, and yes means yes, the patriarchy has got to go, Cinderella / Ever After.
Ever After came out.
Ever After. Willy William Wonka, Bridget Jones, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, Has Stella Got Her Groove Back, Mrs. Basil, and Hidden Figures coming in at number 13. I got all excited thinking about Daniel Craig.
We talked in it, like, I love this book so fucking much, and I will reread it before I read a lot of the other books that are above it, but it's just adaptation, and honestly, we're going to blame Clint Eastwood for where it's at on the list.
Just what was taken away and what was added in, just, it doesn't, like, the thing that is given, in the words of some of my coworkers who do live in the South, what gave me heartburn was, what had given me heartburn, I was like, what does that even mean? What gives me heartburn is the fact that our unnamed author in the story has suddenly become Inspector #1. Like,
Inspector Clouseau. It doesn't make any sense.
I almost said Inspector Gadget.
I almost said Inspector Gadget too.
Doodle-doo-doo-doo, Inspector Gadget. Doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo. Gonna solve a murder, Inspector Gadget. Nope.
I like the part where it's like bum 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 bum.
I think that's when they show the evil guy. You know, they have the evil guy, and all you ever see is him with his cat. I'll get you next
Claw,
time,
right?
Gadget.
It's like Dr. Claw.
Yeah. I love it.
Like him.
See, this is how much we hate Clint Eastwood's version of this movie. We are talking about Inspector Gadget instead. We got problems. We got trouble. Right here in River City.
Right here in Savannah.
So we definitely put the blame on Clint Eastwood for this. But other than that, the book is so much fun. Like, it's weird to say that this is fun, but every character you meet feels so real. Yeah. I loved it.
It's both like a scathing indictment and a love letter to Savannah. Yeah. It's just like, it shows Savannah in its beauty and its disgrace. And like, I'm happy that you look at the numbers of tourism and how they had, like, I think it was like 2 million people tops a year coming. And then after that, it's like times 500%, like, and the amount of money that they've made off of tourism and everything. And it's been consistent and continues to grow every year. Very cool. Makes me happy.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for the city. And it's funny because the book is very much like a Southern woman saying bless. Because that's really what it is. You're seeing the surface and the deep, seedy underbelly. And I loved it. But that leads us to something very special. Something very, very special is coming up in the next episode.
What is it?
Somebody has a birthday! Woo!
Yep. So everybody, I just need to let you guys know that President Clinton's birthday is August 18th. Okay. Oh, was that not it?
Oh, that's very interesting.
Oh.
Happy birthday to that guy.
That's not what you were talking about?
No, Christina.
Well, I'm sorry. See, this is why I can't announce things.
We're talking about a very special person on this podcast is having a birthday, and we know it's not Jesse because his birthday's in January, and we know it's not me because my birthday, we did The Princess Bride, and everybody loved it. It was fabulous. It's amazing, right? Right. And it could be Carlos, but he's not on the podcast, is he?
No, he's not.
So who? Let me get Clint Eastwood to write a movie about this situation where the unnamed author solves the mystery of whose birthday is coming up.
It's my birthday. Yay! Now I'm excited. We're going to do something. And actually, this is the funny thing that happens to us that we don't really plan, where we actually have a nice, like, transition from book to book sometimes. Yeah. And I really wanted to do a noir. And something I've never read or watched. So we're doing Devil in the Blue Dress, and very excited about it. So it's going to be noir, and I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know what's going to happen either because I did not know this existed until it was on our list. So I'm excited too.
Yeah, a little different, and but it'll be. I think it'll have a nice flow because we had like some more like feminine type books for a
Mhm.
while, and then we did Silence of the Lambs, Midnight in the Garden, Devil in the Blue Dress. I think it's cool.
Yeah. This is so different from our first year.
Yeah.
This is going to be good. As we get down into fall, I mean, we only have one more book after your birthday before it's our anniversary, and I am beyond excited. And no spoilers, we're not going to say anything yet. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I shouldn't be this excited. I feel like I'm going to be let down. But I'm very excited for your birthday pick and to celebrate you on the podcast.
Aw.
It's going to be so much fun.
Don't kill me with a gun, a Nazi gun.
Yeah, because I have so many of those.
Just lying around.
Flying around. Hold on, let me open my desk drawer. Whoops, that's my Nazi gun.
Sometimes Carlos and I do talk because we're like, we don't. I'm not a gun person. Okay, so I was just kind of like, we do have a lot of lightsabers though, and
Not the same thing.
But if you were breaking into a house and then someone in the middle of the night is chasing after you, and TMI, we both kind of sleep naked usually. So it's like someone naked is chasing you with a lightsaber. You run, right? I would be freaked out if someone naked started chasing me with a lightsaber. I would run.
Quick, I need someone to edit the scene from American Psycho when Christian Bale's running around naked in tennis shoes with a chainsaw, and please change it to a lightsaber for me. I just need to visualize it.
But he's like,
And he's covered in blood, but instead it's just all you hear is
I think it's an effective way to get home invaders out.
But I just need to. Did you know that the lightsabers you have aren't real lasers, right?
No, I don't know what you mean.
Nick, have you touched the light from the end of your lightsaber?
I'm not stupid. I'm a Jedi. I don't. I'm pretty smart. I don't.
Yeah. Now you told me you're a Jedi. Now I have to tell my boss. Hold on. Boop, 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 boop. Darth, darling, we need to talk. Sorry, Christina. I should probably go because I think you're about to get murdered.
No, I'm excited for the next book, and I like books like this where books and movies. I've got no preconceived notions or thoughts or anything, so we're just gonna see how it goes. It's been a while since we had one of those, actually.
Yeah, we had one of those a while back, didn't we?
I
feel like we did. Was it?
Well, there were a few that, like Pride and Prejudice. I never seen the movie.
Yeah.
We never watched From the Mixed Up Files movie, but we still knew like story.
Yeah.
I
think Stella.
Stella was probably Stella. We opened with Stella, and that one was a completely new.
Yeah, and the commitments for you, right?
Well, I had seen the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just Stella. I feel like there was one. Maybe it was last season.
I think it possibly last year.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Crazy Rich Asians. I never seen or read it.
I hope they make a sequel. I'm still waiting for the sequel to Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Crazier Rich Asians.
Crazier, richer Savannians.
That's kind of what this is a little bit.
It's what it is. No, Christina, do you have anything else you want to say about Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil or about your birthday pick?
That's all I gotta say about that.
Okay, Forrest. Well, bless. Thank you all so much for taking the opportunity to listen to our little podcast. Where would we be without you? I mean, we would just not be who we are today if it wasn't for you.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Yes, y'all come back. I feel like we're at Country Bear Jamboree. Blood on the saddle.
The best was I took Carlos to see that for the first time, and he had never seen it, and he knew nothing about anything, and like it starts, and everybody, including me, starts singing, and it's all white people too, and we all start singing at the same time, and he's like he jumped in fear and like looked around and is like, holy shit, everybody knows the words and they're all singing very loudly. And then he looked at me almost like very much like Get Out. Like, where am I? they going to do to me?
Oh. Bless.
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 Bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Oh, sweetie. Well, thank you all, honestly, for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated if you could. Thanks, as always, to our Q, who's definitely got his work cut out for him in this episode.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse.
Yeah,
Sorry.
thank you. We apologize. Not really, because we're hilarious.
It was Jim.
Jim did it.
Jim did it. Back from the grave.
Jim done come up. We gotta go, because Jim's gonna come up here and mess with some stuff. That poor boy, you leave that boy alone. Jim.
That poor dead boy.
Anyways, Christina and I are gonna go get ourselves some mint juleps. We're gonna go sit outside with our fans, and we're just gonna people watch. We're just gonna be curious. We're just gonna take a look. We don't know what could happen, but anything could happen on a wonderful summer day just like today. Don't you agree?
Oh, I do agree, Nicole.
So we's got to get to going, because she's gonna sit on the park bench with me and talk.
Praise be.
Praise me.
Hallelujah.
Oh, lands. That Savannah heat. We have to go because we've had too much coffee and it's been a long day, and we have to eat a real meal. That's the honest truth. She's yawning. No, seriously, thank you all. We should go.
You.
I don't know why our goodbyes take forever now. But thank you for sticking around. Anyways, with that, thank you, Christina, for sticking around, because stuff gets crazy. And
I love sticking around doing crazy things with you.
Thank you.
Oh.
All right, and we'll see you all next week. Don't forget your party hats, because it's Christina's birthday.
Whee!
Wah, wah, fwant, fwant. All right.
Bye.
Bye.